Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday devotional for this week. Today, I want to talk about a very important topic and one that is often fairly lacking in our culture and even inside the church in modern day times, and that is humility. Humility is so important to our walk with Christ, our faith as Christians. And humility is really a simple concept, though it is often overlooked and often not really practiced. And I should know all about it. I grew up being told that I had no humility whatsoever. So it's something I've had to work at and continue to work at all of these years. But humility is really a simple concept. A few things that I want to get out of the way is humility is not false modesty. Humility is not self-deprecation. Humility at its simplest level is merely this. It is a recognition of who God is and that I am not him. Humility at its basis level is a recognition of who God is and what my place is in relation to him. And in short, that I am not, in fact, God. See, often pride has a tendency of shrinking God down in our own estimation and building ourselves up. We often kind of try to replace God with ourselves, or we replace him with our own vision of who he should be or who he is. We often have this kind of weird relationship where we feel like God should do the things that we think he should do, that he should respond to our whims and our thoughts and how we think things should go. And that's kind of a little bit of what I want to talk about this morning. I am firmly of the belief that much of the bad theology that exists in the church today is because we have these outside opinions that we are unwilling to change, even for God, even in the face of it not comporting, it not going together with our faith. We have this idea, maybe we don't think it consciously, maybe we don't say it out loud, but in practice, we have this kind of expectation that, well, this opinion, God should form himself around it, or we indeed create for ourselves an idea of God that comports with what we already believe, rather than allowing God to inform our beliefs. And you see this all the time. As a pastor, I try to keep up with a lot of different authors, a lot of different speakers, a lot of different people in the media sphere who speak on Christian topics within the Nazarene Church and outside the Nazarene Church, just because I know these are a lot of the people that my people are listening to. And I got to tell you, sometimes it's enough to drive a pastor insane because you'll see these things over and over where, they'll come forth with their opinion, with their thought, with their idea, and they'll say, this is what God says, or this is how God thinks things should go. This is the godly way, and this is what's going to happen. And then when that doesn't happen, or that's proven to not be the case, that's proven wrong, then we get into this mental gymnastics of like, well, here's why I'm still right, but this didn't happen, or here's where I'm still right, but, this or that. And the truth is, I see it this way, and maybe I'm just a simple-minded goon, but to me, if you say this is God's way and this is what's going to happen, and then that didn't happen, you have two realities. One, God is not sovereign and is not in control, and so that didn't happen. Or you were wrong, and that's not God's belief, that was your belief, and maybe you ought to reshape your thought process and your theology. That's humility. The problem is we often don't go this route. We never admit, well, maybe I could have been wrong. Maybe my opinion was ill-informed. Maybe I need to study a little more. Maybe I need to grow a little more. Maybe that's not the godly way. Maybe that was my way. And until we get to the point where we can hold loosely to our opinions, where we can hold loosely to our belief, where we can allow ourselves room to be formed by the Spirit of God, where we can allow ourselves room for Christ to speak into our lives, where we're not so dead set on what we think and what we believe, that we can allow the Spirit of God to speak into our lives and form a more deep connection and a more deeply godly belief and faith within us. You see, the problem is we get so concerned with the world seeping in, and then we think we have to live in this surety in order for that not to happen, that we also deny God the ability to seep in, to inform, and to change us. So this morning is pretty simple. Are you living in humility? Are you living with an openness to God's Spirit? Are you living in a humbleness that can say, you know what, maybe I don't have all the answers. Maybe what I thought was wrong. Maybe I can still grow and change in my faith. Maybe I have more yet to learn. Because I can tell you as a pastor, I don't have all the answers. I don't know it all. I don't have it all down. You know, as Paul said, not that I consider myself to have taken hold of all of this. Says, Paul said, I understand a lot. I've grown a lot, but I'm still not quite there yet. But Paul said, here's the one thing I do. I forget everything else, and I push forward. I strain toward what is ahead, because I want to continue to grow, to learn, to be developed into the character of Christ. And that should be the prayer for all of us this morning. We're so glad that you joined us. We hope that you'll join us on Sunday, either in person or online. We love you. We thank God for you. Go in His grace this week and live in the humility of Christ.